Hello, welcome back, Merry Christmas and all that jolliness. And we are finally back with another episode. Today we are going to be looking at adding levels to our game, which you can see I've already gone ahead and done. We're on level 1 at the moment, and if we go and tap this portal at the end, we go over to level 2, and we've got a whole new world of fun there. So you want to learn out how to do all this stuff, then keep watching. It's going to be a long video today, but hopefully you'll learn something, and by the end of it, you'll have your second level up and running like this one. Stay tuned. So in the previous episodes, we pretty much finished this first level here. It's not a bad start, but I think we need a second level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I've named this model level 1, and I've also created a box around the model. So I'm going to copy both of them over, press Ctrl D, that will duplicate it, and we're just going to move it over to here for now. And we'll call this level 2 so we don't get mixed up. And in fact, we can group this whole thing together if we like. We can make all of that level 1. There we go. So it's all nicely compartmentalized, and we don't want it to look exactly the same, so you can build your own later, but for now, let's just change it up a little bit. Let's make it into a sort of a sandy, desert-coloured map. That will do for now. So level 2 is going to be sort of sand-coloured. And if we want our player over here, we are going to need a way of getting them there. At the moment, the player is going to go all the way through this level, gather their coins, go over the traps, and then they're stuck here. What we need is some kind of teleport. So let's go ahead and create one of them, shall we? We'll put in a new part. Let's make a neon part, shall we? Bright green. Add that in. That's nice and obvious, isn't it? Make it like that. Well, let's make sure it's anchored. And shall we add in some flame for good measure as well? Let's have some orange flame, just so it grabs the eye of the player. Okay. And then we're going to need to add in a touch script, just like we did for our coins. If you remember previously with the coins over here, we had this script for picking up. In fact, if we're going to be a bit lazy, we can just copy and paste the pickup script, and we're going to put it into our teleport part. Let's name it this part teleport, and then we're going to insert a new script, and we're not going to copy and paste that. We're going to rewrite it because that's how we learn. So function pick touch, and then that accepts a parameter of the part that's touching. So we'll put part touching as the parameter it's expecting. And then we need to check if the part that's touching is the player. So we say if part touching dot parent, which in this case, if it is a player, it will be a model. And we'll try and find the first child humanoid. And if it's got a humanoid, then we know that it is the player, so we can continue. And then we can do our teleport. I'm just using a comment there for now. And then of course we need to call this function when the part is touched. So script dot parent dot touched connect, and our touch script. Fantastic. Or shall we name it teleport? Teleport on touch will be the name of the function. It's best to use descriptive names. So teleport on touch. And then for our actual teleport, well, now we know part touching.parent equals the player. We can use this, and we know that every player has a value called the humanoid root part. If we look inside here, inside me, you've got all these properties, left foot and so on, but we've got the humanoid root part. Now this is very important, and we can use this to help teleport our player, because the root part is the primary part of the player. So if we say part touching dot parent dot humanoid root part dot position equals, and then we can move it to a new location. So how about, just to test this, we can say script.parent.position plus vector3.new 0, 10, 0. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, when they touch, and we've checked that it's a player, then what we're going to say is we're going to change the position of the humanoid root part, which is touching it. So the primary part of the player, we're going to change the position of that to the position of this teleport object plus a vector3 value, which is a locational value, and this has an x, a y, and a z value. So in this case, we're adding 10 to the y value, which will be on the vertical axis. So let's go ahead and test this, see if it works. Go ahead and play. That's it, we're in the game, and if we touch, yep, we appear 10 studs above it. Let's make that a little bit clearer, shall we? If we make it 20, and then we add, let's just make this 30, and then we can go ahead and test that. Should be a little bit more obvious. Touch, and we appear in the air, and then we fall down, and so on. So now we know how to make a teleport. Let's make sure we can get the right value for this, shall we? So what we could do is we could duplicate this, and we could place this over onto our second map over here. And we probably shouldn't make this one green. Let's make this one red, shall we? And we're going to make this fire red as well, of course. There we go. And we probably don't really want our script to teleport them straight back, so we can delete the script from this one, and instead of naming it teleport, we can name this one start, shall we? And we'll put start inside the level 2 model to keep things organized. And if we, let's rename level 2 to map and put this inside of the map. There we go. So now let's go back to our script, and instead of changing the player's position to that of the parent, what we actually want to now use is workspace dot level 2 dot map dot, and what do we call it again? We called it start. So we'll change it to the position of start, and then we don't need to add on 30. Let's just add on 5, okay? So we'll add on 5. Let's go ahead and play that then. So we touch the teleport, and oh, we've got an error. Vector3 expected, got object. So what's happened here then? Look at our script. So we forgot to say the position. We just said level2.map.start, but we need to say the position of that part that we named start. So it was expecting a vector3, which is the locational value of position, whereas we were just giving it the object. So if we go ahead and retest that, we should now be fine. That's why you've always got to look at your output window. Test that, and there we go. We're now on the second map. Now this is perfect. It looks very similar to the last map, but this is the basic idea. Now, the only problem here is that if we are to die, if I reset my character here, well, I'm only going to spawn back over on the first level. We need to set a new spawn point. Now, you could try and just add in another spawn like this. So you might think this would work, but the problem is, if we just have this spawn and we have this spawn on level 1, well, if I join the game, there's a chance I could spawn at either one. The game doesn't understand specifically that I want this to be a level 2 spawn, and so as soon as I went and tested it, it spawned me over here on the second map. Now, what you may have seen some games do is they use something called the teams feature. Now, if we go on the properties of this spawn and we scroll down, you'll notice that the team is currently set to neutral here, but we can change it to have a specific team color. We could set this to be really red, for example, and untick neutral. And if we ticked allow team change on touch, then it allows us to set a new team. So if we close all this workspace down, you notice down here we have this teams folder, and in it we can add in some teams like this. And instead of this one here being a neutral spawn, we can change this one. Where is it? Level 1, there we go. So this is a neutral spawn as well at the moment, but we could make this one to a team. So if we change this team to forest green, untick it as neutral, and if we go back to our teams here, we're going to have one, the forest green color, which will be this spawn, and we'll name it level 1. And then we can have the second one. I believe we made it really red, the color of our second spawn over here. Note this isn't actually the brick color of the spawn. The brick color is neon orange, but the actual color of the team down here, really red. And we've also ticked this allow team change on touch option, which is pretty much exactly what it says. So we go ahead and we'll name this team level 2, and we'll untick auto assignable. So you'll notice I have level 1, which is going to be auto assigned. So that means as soon as the player joins the game, they're going to be assigned this spawn right here for this team. And then our second spawn, we configured that so that it was allow team change on touch. So when they touch it, they'll change team. So let's go ahead and check that, shall we? You'll notice now we have level 1 and level 2 down here. So you do see a lot of obbies, especially older ones, used to do it this way. If we touched our teleport, we go over here, and then if we touch this spawn, there we go. We're now on team level 2, I should say, or team 2. It's all the same. And if we then reset our character, we will die and we'll respawn on the level 2 spawn, which in this case will be this one right here. Now, this does work perfectly fine. This is a nice, easy way of doing it. There's nothing wrong with it. But it does get a bit clustered up here, especially if you have a lot of teams or levels that no one's actually using. Then it can all start to look a bit cluttered and a bit messy. And you don't really need to do it this way. So there's a better way of doing it, which we can have them both as neutral spawns again. So we'll make it neutral. We'll untick allow team change and touch. The team color doesn't really matter anymore if it's neutral. And then we'll change this one over here as well. And we'll change that back to neutral. And we'll delete our teams. Now, how do we set a spawn? Now, instead of having it set by the team or just having it set randomly, we can actually do it from inside our script. So what we want to do is we've already got our script here inside server script service, which was a setup script that we use for the leaderboard. Now let's just rename it, shall we, to player setup. We'll rename the script, there we go. And this has a function that is called whenever a player is added to the game, then it uses this function to set everything up. So while we're here, we can also add a spawn point for the player. So we can say player, and if you look on player on the wiki, you'll notice it has a property called respawn location. And the property of this can be set to any valid spawn location. So we've got 2 spawn locations on our map, and when the player first joins the game, well, we want to use the level 1 spawn. So just to make this less confusing, let's give it this one on a name. We'll rename this level 1 spawn, and we can rename the other one level 2 spawn. So let's head back to our setup script and want that to equal workspace dot level 1 dot level 1 spawn. Fantastic. So if we go ahead and we test that, we should join and we should hopefully be on the right spawn. There we go, we're over here. Super. Now we just need to get us to change to this spawn. So all we need to do is we can have it when they teleport. And another thing we should probably change with our teleport, instead of having this part that they teleport to and the separate spawn, we might as well make these one and the same. So let's just copy this fire into the level 2 spawn. And we'll move the level 2 spawn onto the map. We'll move it back here. And then we'll delete start. We don't need that anymore. Let's head back to our teleport script for the level 1 over here. We'll change this script. So instead of saying to start, we need to change that to be the level 2 spawn. I mean now. Level 2 spawn dot position. So set the position, that's good. And then the second thing we want to do, let's enclose this in a variable so it's easier to read. New local variable pos for position equals the position plus 5 vertical studs, and then we want to assign that. There we go. And then we can change the spawn location of the player. So how do we access the player again? Well, we know it's part touching dot parent. So all we need to say, part touching dot parent. And you may remember with our coin script, if we head back to our coins over here and look at the script, we accessed it using this get player from character value. So in fact, we could use that again. We'll create a new local player variable, and that will be equal to part touching dot parent, which is what we've named this one. So that's perfect. And then in our coin script, we use that to assign points to the leaderboard. But instead, here all we want to do is player dot respawn location, and we'll change it from the level 1 spawn to workspace dot level 2 dot map dot level 2 spawn. So hopefully, if we go and test this now, we'll run the game. We'll move over to our teleport, which eventually we'll put at the end of the map, not just at the beginning. We'll step on it, we teleport over, and we're now on the new spawn location. Hopefully, if I reset the character now, I should respawn on the level 2 spawn. There we go, perfect. Let's just get rid of this force field as well while we're here. So level 2 map, level 2 spawn, and if you scroll down to the properties, force field duration will change to 0. Just a personal thing that annoys me, that. Right, so that's our teleports and spawn setup. We could move this to the end of the map if we wanted. But before we get too carried away, there's one thing we need to fix here, which is the points on the Gui display here. Now, you'll notice if I collect some points, when I first join the game, it says points, and it doesn't say 0, which is a little bit annoying. And then if I collect some, so I've got 4 points, and then I fall down this trap and respawn, then it says points and it's blank again, even though my points value, if we look at the leaderboard over here, is still 6. So what's going on here? Let's head back into our script for that, if you can remember. So we'll find our starter GUI, and then we'll find our points value. And let's change the name of the text label to points. Points label, we can call it. And we'll look inside this point script, and you'll notice we changed the value whenever the value of the leader stats points has been changed. But if it hasn't been changed, then we don't update it, which is a problem because when the player first joins the game or the player respawns, the points value hasn't changed, and so the value isn't updated. So what we'll do is we'll copy this line and we'll paste it above here. So when this script is first loaded and the player is first joining, then we're immediately going to update it. And then after that, we want to update it whenever the value changes. So hopefully now when we join, we should have the value 0. There you go, we got 0 straight away. We can get some coins. And then if we fall down the trap, hopefully when we respawn, it will still say 6. There we go, fantastic. And of course, these points will then carry over when we go to our second level. We go over here, and we've still got our points. Now, there's going to be one last thing we could add, which would be a level counter. That's easy enough to do. So if we head back to the setup script, where we set up the points, all we need to do is simply copy and paste the points, and let's rename them it to be level. So we'll have a level value. Change all that to level, and that needs to be level. And instead of setting the 0 as 0, the 0 as 0, the value as 0, we're going to want that to be a 1, because they're going to start off on level 1, not level 0. And then we need to update that to stay level 2, don't we? So let's find our teleport again. And then just like we did for our coins, we're going to say player dot leader stats dot level equals 2. Let's try that. Oh, did I move the spawn? Let's move this teleport, back. I don't want to run all that way. So you see already, we've got our points over here, and we've got our level over here. So we've got no points, but we're on level 1. And we can teleport over. Oh, leader stats is not a valid member of player. How did we do this before then? So let's look at level 1. We can look at our coin script again from earlier. And notice, oh yes, so the first thing we did wrong is this is the lowercase leader stats. So we need to change this to be lowercase. And the second mistake I made is I tried to change the value of level itself, whereas I need to change the level of value. So let's go ahead and try that again. We'll move the teleport over here for now. So we can go and we can, got 0 points, we can collect 1 point, we can maybe collect a second, a third, got 3 points, we're still on level 1, we touch teleport, and we go to the new spawn, and now we're on level 2. And while we're at it, why not add to the GUI up here? We've got a point counter, let's go and duplicate this, and instead of calling it points label, we'll call this one level label. We'll move it down below. We'll change the text to say level. We'll change the color. Let's have a green one, shall we, for this? Something like that will do. And then inside of the script, instead of saying points, we want it to say level. And level here as well. And then let's change the name of the script from update points to update level. There we go. And now when we run the game, we will have our points 0, level 1, and we've got them over here as well for good measure. Now when I go and run about, I can get my points. Just as before, I can go to the new level, and then I could add some coins over here to get some more points. Okay, that's probably been a very long video. Yeah, we're probably clocking in at 20-30 minutes there. So that's about all we've got time for on this one. But hopefully now you understand how we can go about adding the level system into our game. And in the next episode, I think we'll maybe have one more episode of our tutorial series where we'll look at how we can do some more advanced traps, maybe some NPCs, and maybe some power-ups as well. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye! Hey, one more thing. Please come and check out the Nomeland Discourse server, where we can give you help with your scripting, and you can show off your creations, such as this really cool Sonic game that one of our users made. And you can come and hang out in our chat server. So, come on down, join the server, have a good time.